His was the story of a man's rise from obscurity to ornamentation, from the boy next door to a Bharat Ratna, from a miner from Rameswaram to the missile man of India, and from a paper boy to the president of the largest democracy in the world. Yes, that was the story of People's President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, 11th President of our celebrated country. His life proves once again that mighty things come from small beginnings. Kalam touched the dizzy heights of success and fame, flying on wings of fire. There cannot be a more appropriate title that he could give to his autobiography. Ladies and gentlemen, my life inspiration of a leader whom I have personally worked with and shared the aura. I now present Dr. APJ Kalam, the man, the maestro. His journey from the streets of Rameswaram to the Rajdhani cannot be summed up in a few words or sentences. Yet, here I try to fit in his illustrious life in this little frame. If his simplicity is worth emulating, his intellect, intelligence, and dedication deserves adulation.
He was born in a family that struggled to make both ends meet, but that did not dampen his spirit, nor did it douse his thirst for knowledge and learning. Kalam took up a part of the burden of maintaining the family on his tender shoulders. His father, Jainulabdeen, and Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, a close friend of his father, and the head priest of the Rameswaram temple were his guiding lights. Jainulabdeen was an honest and generous man with strong innate wisdom. His mother, Ashiamma, and Ahmad Jalaluddin, who was 15 years older than him, were his friends. Ashiamma was an embodiment of kindness and hospitality and used to feed many people every day, despite their family's financial limitations. Many of us would have followed the life story of this great Indian very closely, and his teachings and ideas have steered an entire generation and nation. But I would like to share a few nuances about him that may be more special and add that extra flavor to this great human being and his contribution to the world at large. With reference to the writings from the blog famouspeople.com, I picked a few important sharings. He was born as Avul, Pakir, Jainulabdeen Abdul Kalam on 15th October 1931 into a Muslim family in Rameswaram, then at the Madras Presidency in British India and in the state of Tamil Nadu. His father was a boat owner, while his mother Ashiamma was a housewife. Kalam had 4 elder siblings. Even though his ancestors had been wealthy traders, the family had lost most of their fortunes by the 1920s and was poverty-stricken by the time Kalam was born. As a young man, he used to sell newspapers in order to add to the family's meager income. Even though the family was not financially well off, the children were raised in an atmosphere filled with love. In one of the books which Kalam wrote decades later, he fondly remembers how his mother would lovingly feed her own quota of food to the children and go hungry herself. He was a good student and always curious to learn more about how things happened. When he was 10 years old, one of his teachers, Shiva Subramanya Iyer, took the students to the seashore and asked them to observe birds in flight. Then the teacher gave the children a theoretical explanation, which, coupled with a live practical example, cast a deep influence on young Kalam's mind. That very day, the boy realized that his life calling had something to do with flight. After completing his studies at Schwartz Higher Secondary School, he enrolled in St. Joseph's College, Tiruchinappalli, graduating in science in 1954. Pursuing his childhood dream, he traveled to Madras to study aerospace engineering at Madras Institute of Technology. During his 3rd year, he was assigned a project to design a low-level attack aircraft together with a few other students. The project was a difficult one, and on top of it, their guide gave them very tight deadline. The young men toiled together, working under immense pressure, and finally managed to achieve the target within the stipulated deadline. The guide was thoroughly impressed by Kalam's dedication. At this juncture, Kalam aspired to become a fighter pilot. However, he could not realize this dream. APJ Abdul Kalam earned his degree from the Madras Institute of Technology in 1957 and joined the Aeronautic Development Establishment of the Defence Research and Development Organization as a scientist in 1958. In the early 1960s, he worked with the Indian National Committee for Space Research under the renowned space scientist Vikram Sarabhai. He also designed a small hovercraft at DRDO. He visited NASA's Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia, the Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, and the Wallops Flights Facility in 1963-64. Inspired by this visit, he began working on an expandable rocket project independently at DRDO in 1965. However, he was not much satisfied with his work at DRDO and was happy to be transferred to the ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, in 1969. There he served as the project director of the SLV-3, India's first indigenously designed and produced satellite launch vehicle. In 1970s, he began making efforts to develop the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, developed to allow India to launch its Indian remote sensing satellites into the Sun's synchronous orbits. The nation's PSLV project was an eventual success and launched first in 1993. APJ Kalam also directed several other projects, including Project Devil in the 1970s. Project Devil was an early liquid-fueled missile project aimed at producing a short-range surface-to-air missile. The project was not a success in the long term and was discontinued in the 80s. However, it led to the later development of the Prithvi missile in 1980s. He was also involved with the Project Valiant, which aimed at the development of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Similar to Project Devil, this project too was not successful in itself, but played a large role in the development of the Prithvi missile later on. In the early 80s, the Integrated Guide Missile Development Program, an Indian Ministry of Defence program managed by the DRDO in partnership with other government organizations, were launched. Kalam was asked to lead the project, and thus he returned to DRDO as chief executive. The program, which received tremendous political support, aimed at the concurrent development of 4 projects: short-range surface-to-surface missiles, codenamed Prithvi; short-range low-level surface-to-air missile, codenamed Trishul; medium-range surface-to-air missile, codenamed Akash; third-generation anti-tank missile, codenamed Nag. The IGMDP, under the able leadership of Kalam, proved to be a resounding success and produced a number of successful missiles, including the first Prithvi missile in 1988 and the Agni in 1989. Due to his achievements as the director of IGMDP, APJ Abdul Kalam earned the nickname of Missile Man. His increasing involvement with governmental agencies led to his appointment as the scientific advisor to the Defence Minister in 1992. In 1999, he was appointed as Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India with the rank of Cabinet Minister. In the late 90s, he played a major role in conducting the Pokhran-II, a series of 5 nuclear bomb test explosions at the Indian Army's Pokhran test range in May 1998. Following the success of these tests, which elevated Kalam to the status of a national hero, the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee declared India fully fledged nuclear state. In addition to being a brilliant scientist, Kalam was also a visionary. In 1998, he proposed a country-wide plan called Technology Vision 2020 to serve as an action plan to make India a developed nation by the year 2020. He put forward several suggestions, including nuclear empowerment, technological innovations, and improved agricultural productivity to achieve the same. In 2002, the National Democratic Alliance, which was in power at that time, expressed its decision to nominate Kalam for the President of India to succeed outgoing President K.R. Narayan. Kalam, being a popular national figure, easily won the presidential elections. APJ Abdul Kalam assumed office as the 11th President of India on the 25th of July 2002, becoming the first scientist and the first bachelor in the country to occupy Rashtrapati Bhavan. Over the course of his 5-year tenure, he remained committed to his vision of transforming India into a developed nation, thus spent a lot of time conducting one-on-one meetings with young people to inspire them to achieve their best. He proved to be very popular with the citizens of the country and became known as People's President. The post-presidency years also saw him teaching information technology at the International Institute of Information Technology, Hyderabad, and the technology at Banaras Hindu University and Anna University. He also served as the Chancellor of the Indian Institute of Space Research and Technology, Thiruvananthapuram. In 2012, he launched a program called What Can I Give Movement to develop a giving attitude to the youth and to encourage them to contribute towards nation building by taking small but positive steps. Kalam was the proud recipient of the Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan and Bharat Ratna awards from the Government of India. In 1997, he was honoured by the Government of India with the Indira Gandhi Award for National Integration. Kalam was honoured with the King Charles II Medal by the Royal Society UK. He won the Hoover Medal given by the ASME Foundation USA. The California Institute of Technology USA presented Kalam with the International Von Karman Wings Award in the year 2009. APJ Abdul Kalam was the youngest child in a close-knit family. He was very close to his parents, especially his mother, and had a loving relationship with all of his 4 elder siblings. He never married. Throughout his life, he maintained close ties with his siblings and their extended families. A benevolent soul, he often sent money to all his elderly relatives.
He was a very simple person who lived an unpretentious lifestyle. He owned a few possessions, including his beloved veena and a collection of books. He didn't even have a television. A kind-hearted man, he was a vegetarian and consumed simple food. A devout Muslim, he has been raised with strict Islamic customs. He respected all religions and was well versed in Hindu traditions in addition to the Islamic practices. He not only read the namaz daily and fasted during Ramadan, but also regularly read the Bhagavad Gita.
If you like the content of this video, do like and subscribe to my channel Meet Meenamma. Don't forget to click the bell icon for regular updates. Also do comment and interact with Meenamma. I would love your opinions. Meenamma looks forward to meeting you again in the next video and episode. Till then, ladies and gentlemen, have a great life and make a difference. Meenamma, oi, 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 Meenamma.